מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בנאות שירביצני, עמי מנוחות ינעלני, נפשי ישובב, ינחני במגלי צדק, ינחני במגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי ילך בגיא המוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני, שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר.
As Cantor began our service chanting Psalm 23 in the Hebrew, it's our tradition to read this psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd." If you know it, you can join with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of forever. Before I call up, or Rabbi Jacobs comes up, I just want to note that about 10 weeks ago, we gathered for a great moment of celebration, where I had the honor to marry Josh and Helen together. And this is a bit of a circle of life, of course, as generations continue, and she'll be greatly missed. But we know that today is really a celebration as well for a beautiful life that I know is carried on by this family and everyone that she touched. May her name bring blessings.
Today we lovingly remember and celebrate the life of Lidiya Golubitsky, beloved wife of Simon, beloved daughter of Zalman and Etya, beloved sister of Gregory, beloved mother of Alexander, Leo and Elena, and Masha and Terry, beloved grandmother of Josh and Helen, Zach, Izzy, Sammy, Alan, and Max. But even this list is way too narrow because Lidiya had an expansive definition of family. Masha, you joked that if Lidiya discovered she had a fifth cousin 7 times removed, she'd welcome them into her home, even if there wasn't enough space, give them the beds, and tell her own family, okay, we're sleeping on the floor. When you and Leo got married, your spouses weren't in-laws, they were family. She genuinely loved and appreciated them as she did all of you. In times of loss and heartbreak, as Jews, we turn to our ancient texts for comfort and meaning. We'll continue our service now with more ancient prayers and reading as we honor Lidiya's life and legacy. There's a traditional prayer that's often recited around the Shabbat table called a woman of valor, Eshet Chayil. What a precious find is an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. Her worth is far beyond rubies. Her husband puts his confidence in her and lacks no good thing. She is good to him, never bad, all the days of her life. She opens her hands to the needy and extends her hand to the poor. She is clothed with strength and splendor. She looks to the future cheerfully. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She oversees the activities of her household and never eats the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband praises her and says, "Many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty vain, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised. Extol her for the fruit of her hand. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise." And one more reading from the book of Ecclesiastes, Kohelet. A season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for planting and a time for reaping, a time for keeping and a time for discarding, a time for loving and a time for hating, a time for embracing and a time for refraining, a time for slaying and a time for healing, a time for laughing and a time for weeping, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. I want to invite family members up now to share their own loving remembrances and to eulogize Lidiya. We'll start with Lidiya's children, Masha and Leo. The microphone, you might have to speak close up to it.
You think you're ready, and then you know that you're not. This morning I spoke with, one of my cousins, Lyonya, who he's so heartbroken that he couldn't fly in time from Israel for the funeral. He asked me if I feel a void in my heart or an acceptance that my mom is gone. I reflected, and I realized I don't feel a void. My heart is full. My heart is full to the max with love and gratitude. Gratitude for the life, for the long life well lived. I think well lived is the key point. For providing love and compassion, advice and support, so much quiet kindness towards others. Somehow it always seemed that that my mom lived effortlessly. Goals were achievable, problems were solvable. Все будет хорошо. Everything is going to be all right. That was my mom's mantra. Yet it was an illusion. That, in fact, was an attestation to her strength, endurance, and faith that everything is going to be all right. That no obstacle is going to be left without receiving and acknowledging enough strength that allows you to overcome it. Family was first and foremost. many people and everybody who is here today at one time or another, whether you were on her lap as a little kid, or whether you were her friend, whether it was in Moscow or it was in Cleveland, were the recipients of the hospitality that our parents' home provided. The home was always welcoming and warm. She had a unique ability of being absolutely devoted to her family, and yet being able to recognizing that she is a person not just was allowed, but can enjoy personal interests and personal pleasures, that it's not an either or. That was a great lesson. I'm struggling with that one. She loved a good company. She treasured friendships. Some friendship lasted over 50 years that were only broken by passing. She made friends easy. Yet she suffered no fools when she didn't like someone. She was never idle. There was always something that interests her. Whether she was sewing, knitting, crocheting, embroidering, making jewelry, just a few of the things that she could do. And she could do it well. She worked with books for 35 years in Moscow, and she enjoyed reading. It was a pleasure that she kept until she couldn't physically to continue to do that, but she enjoyed it. Was her favorite pastime after worrying about us. She gave her love, kindness, and compassion freely without expecting anything back. Yet she was so sincerely appreciative and touched when she was the recipient of the kindness of others. All the words, hugs, thoughts that came from you guys were received with love by her. Everybody who has encountered our mom, I know she appreciated and we appreciate all the kindness that was bestowed on her and the care. And after struggling to write this, I came to a conclusion that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not the last opportunity to talk about my mom or with my mom. The conversation and her voice in my head will continue. We will always feel her presence, her guidance, and her support, and her blessing, and her love. Спасибо, Mom. Okay.
Yeah, I think I just started to realize that she died. Well, I think she was always positive and supportive, and whatever, most of the things, whatever they were, that I did, bad or good. So she would help me do something. And if I didn't want to, I didn't want my father to know about this, so I dealt with her. And if I had to go to a dean or some things with the
Cover it up.
yeah, with the police or whatever. Yeah. So, well, in the last 5 years, 3.5 years that she was at Montefiore, were not were hard for her, and everybody who stopped by, well, thank you very much, and value your special thanks. Ihre Honor, thank you. Well, there is a lot of things that can be said. 91 years, it's a long life, and a good life, and A+.
I want to invite up now Lydia's grandchildren, Josh and Helen, Zach, Sammy, Ellen, and Max, and note that Izzy is joining us via Zoom.
I'm sure I speak for all of us when I talk about the memories from our childhood. Our grandparents were some of our primary caretakers when we were very young. So we remember the times we spent at their apartment or playing in the leaves outside. And when I was a little bit better at Russian and when I was a little younger and could talk to her a little better, I remember that very fondly. What I do, my most recent memory was when she was still living at her apartment, and I sat down with her and watched her for the day, and it was just one of the most special times. We sat down on the couch, we talked about what we were watching on TV, and it was just different than being a kid and with your grandparent. It was like speaking with your mom's mother for the first time, and that's how I think I'll remember her. Of course, when you're young, your grandparents are your world and with your parents, but I remember her as the kind, intelligent woman that she was her entire life. That day will always stick with me. Yeah.
So, like my brother said, none of, at least my siblings, really took to the language. So communication wasn't always, I guess, the most fluent. But even though the words weren't there, the love was always felt between us and Baba. And I guess thank you for the 24 years.
Rabbi, you kind of put me on the spot. I didn't have anything ready. Well, me and my brother, we do speak Russian, so anytime me and my brother would come over, she'd always talk about reading, and I thought that was just, it was awesome to hear about my dad's brother from her and just about life in Moscow, because I've never been. Probably can't go because I'm in the Navy, so, but unless some regime change happens. But yeah, so I just remember her always reading and always talking about reading and always encouraging me to read, even though I hate reading. That's why I studied engineering. But yeah, loved to read, was always kind, always took great care of us. And one fond memory I have, I think you were there, it was in her old apartment with Deda, or our grandfather. She would always play Russian cartoons from like the Soviet Union. Yeah. They're a little messed up. Some of them were a little racist, but very violent. But it was cool to see like what my dad grew up with and what like they had back then, and it was just awesome. Always talking to her, and she was always kind, always encouraging, even of Max with his respectfully shitty grades, but always encouraging, respectfully. But yeah. That's all I got.
I only got to know Lidiya towards the end of her life, but the way Masha describes her sounds just like Masha. If you switched Lidiya with Masha, then I would believe it. I see her legacy in Masha and Lova and all of her wonderful relatives. I see it in my husband. I see it in my new sibling-in-laws, and I know that I will see her in future generations because a love like that doesn't go.
You don't have to.
I remember going to her apartment with my dad when she used to live in a huge building, and we would go sometimes, and I just remember she would be sweet, and we would sit down on her couch and talk, and she would make pancakes. I remember she was just a very sweet woman.
In our annual read-through of the Torah, we're approaching the end of the final book, Deuteronomy, as we read Parshat Nitzavim this week. Moses is reaching the end of his life, and he reflects on what truly matters. He reminds the people of the most important things to remember so that even when he's gone, he will continue to live on through them, through his teachings, through his everlasting impact, Helen, as you just said so eloquently. Nitzavim means standing or gathered together. We are all here gathered together today to remember Lidiya and everything she taught us through her life and through her wisdom and through her love, knowing that she continues to live on through all of us as her soul reunites with her beloved husband, Simon, and her beloved son, Alexander, Sasha, who was tragically taken from her way too soon. There's a verse in this week's Torah portion that encapsulates, in one brief line, so much of what Lidiya embodied. Ha'idoti bechem hayom, et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz, ha'chayim ve'amavet natati lefanecha, habracha ve'klala, uvacharta bechayim. I call heaven and earth as witness this day. I set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life. Lidiya was no stranger to hardship. She was born in Moscow on March 8, 1934. Her childhood took place beneath the shadow of war. That's how anybody would describe it. But that's not how, Masha, you described it. Channeling what, Leo, you called your mother's positivity, you said that she was born at the start of spring, at the time of the first flowers and tulips. International Women's Day, which meant her birthday was always associated with the celebration of women, gifts of flowers, and most importantly, a day off. To say she was born in pre-war Russia would be to focus on the negative. To say she was born in springtime is to see the world through Lidiya's resilient eyes. Her father worked at a factory, a military plant. Her mother was a preschool teacher, which might be where Lidiya got her love of books and passion for library science, which she studied in college. Lidiya worked at Lenin State Library for 35 years, the largest library in the USSR and one of the largest in the world. Leo, you said at work she loved her job and the people she worked with. It was her life. She wanted to go to work and help people. Lydia's expansive definition of family is probably a reflection of her housing situation as a child. Her mother was one of 9 children. As was common in the Soviet Union, they all lived as one big extended family. At the onset of the war, she and her younger brother, Grigory, along with their mother, were evacuated to Kazan, where they lived for a number of years. When the war ended, they moved back to Moscow for what, Leo, you joked, was a normal Soviet childhood. After completing her studies, Lydia's cousin introduced her to a classmate who would turn out to be the love of Lydia's life, Simon. Simon had his own village of people trying to set him up with women, but Simon wanted to choose himself, and Simon chose Lydia. They were married on June 27, 1958. They lived together in a room, not a big, spacious bedroom, crammed into communal apartment living, as was common, with their parents, her brother, and in 1959, the addition of their first child, Alexander, whom they lovingly called Sasha. They lived this way for many years, until Simon got a job that came with a home of their own, as they continued to grow their family by welcoming Leo to the world. Then, in 1971, Lydia and Simon endured what is for parents the worst of possible nightmares. They lost Sasha in a horrible car accident that could, understandably, have brought them to the point of being unable to continue on. Masha, you shared, living through that tragedy did not take away their ability to find joy again and to see the beauty of life. You were born a year later, beneath the shadow of death, a new tulip. A testament to their resilience and their unwavering commitment to what we read in Torah this week. I call heaven and earth as witness this day. I set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life. Life is never just sweet. But despite the trap that so many of us fall into, life is never just bitter either. That's why during the Passover Seder, the great sage Hillel would combine maror, bitter herbs, with charoset, a sweet dish made from apples or figs, because that, more accurately, is what life tastes like, bittersweet. Coming from where Lydia came from, losing what Lydia lost, which included her parents quite suddenly and in quick succession in 1980, Lydia could have given up. So many of us would, especially given how devoted she was to all of them. But Lydia teaches us what it means to choose life. Masha, you marveled at the way your mother would always get things done. When her mother died, she arranged for a bigger place so that her father could move in with them. You shared that she could juggle a gazillion things, seemingly without effort, that nothing was a problem for her. If it needed to be done, it would get done. She'd figure it out. She could always find a solution. You even said, I don't remember her ever panicking. She loved life and she enjoyed life. She was able to see the goodness of what life gives you, even after loss. I always thought, you shared, that was such a gift. She would always say, everything is going to be fine, as you shared so eloquently. And you added to that, she is the strongest person I know. In 1993, the family immigrated to America with 2 adult children. Leo, you were 25, and Masha, you were 21, settling down in Cleveland, where Simon had family. This, by all standards, is a grueling transition, especially after separating from her brother, Grigory, who made Aliyah with his family to Israel, adding yet another sense of loss for Lydia, who was very close to her brother. How do you start again in a new country? Well, Masha knew how to get things done. Sorry, Lydia, just like Helen said, one and the same. Lydia knew how to get things done. She knew how to find a solution. She made friends, lots of them. She and Simon were always proud to be American, grateful for the freedom and opportunities this country afforded them, and she passed that pride along to her children. The family shared that when Lydia's neighbors at her apartment would complain about this or that, she'd always make a point of vocalizing her appreciation for all that they had in this country. Bolstered by the support of the Federation and the strong Jewish community here, it felt, in your words, Masha, like we had it easy. Perhaps the greatest gift Lydia enjoyed was watching her tulips take root in America and yield flowers of their own. She adored her grandchildren, and Simon and she were among their primary caregivers, as Josh shared, when they were young. Zach, you fondly recalled playing outside with Baba, who would sit with your grandfather in their lawn chairs and watch you jump into piles of leaves in the fall. And of course, you remember her chicken soup. Josh, you shared, as you did today, how as a kid, you would play games with her on her apartment floor, and she would give you chocolates with a Russian twist. The filling was cognac. You described those chocolates as a big deal. You also shared that since you don't speak Russian, communication was difficult, but like you said today, that conversation that you had with her on the couch as adults added a new layer to your relationship. Lidiya was raised in a secular Jewish household, again, as was common in the USSR, and so while she wasn't brought up with extensive Jewish learning, she felt Jewish cultural pride 100%. She was proud that her grandchildren were raised in the United States, knowing the tradition, not just being ethnically Jewish, but getting a formal Jewish education. She always encouraged that and was deeply proud. Masha, you shared that she never thought she'd be able to witness the B'nai Mitzvah of her grandchildren, and that was very important to her. Yiddishkeit was very important to her, and keeping it for generations to come, L'dor Vador. She was a woman of many hobbies. She enjoyed traveling with her beloved Simon, visiting Europe twice and Israel 3 times. In her older age, even while caring for Simon as he battled Parkinson's, Lidiya was still able to enjoy activities and friendships, parties with friends she made in her retirement communities, including Montefiore. She was very outgoing, and people gravitated toward her light. She regularly donated blood and was a regular contributor to St. Jude's for pediatric cancer research. The family shared that she was very crafty and that there's nothing our mom couldn't do. You said she was never idle, like a true Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. That if she'd sit down, it was to mend clothes, knit, or crochet. She was great at sewing, loved creating things by hand, and you all have the jumpers to prove it. There's a Jewish morning ritual you performed as a family right before this service, which is called Kriya, where we tear our garments or a ribbon of fabric, which symbolizes a tear in the fabric of our hearts over the loss of a loved one. While grief never goes away, we do believe that in time we gain the ability to move forward as we carry the life and legacy of our loved ones with us. That's why there's another tradition, which is to sew the torn fabric back together at the end of the Shana, the year of mourning for one's parents. Not such that we don't notice the tear, because we're never the same when we lose the people we love. We see the stitching, but we sew it back together as an act of choosing life. And so, may you feel Lidiya's hands on your heart as she urges you to remember everything's going to be fine. Life gives us hardship, it gives us curses, but it also gives us abundant blessings. May we all, like Lidiya, always choose to live lives of meaning, purpose, and love. We'll continue now and rise for the traditional memorial prayer, El Malei Rachamim, chanted by our cantor.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, V'ma'alot Kedoshim Utarim, Kezohar HaRakia, Mazhirim. Et nishmat Lidiya bat Zalman ve'etya she'elcha le'olama. Began Eden temenuchata. Anna balarachamim. Hastireha beseiter knafecha le'olamim. Utzror bitzror hachayim et nishmata. Adonai hu nachalata, v'tanuach b'shalom hamishkava, v'nomar Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Lidiya Golubitsky, Lidiya Badzalman Ve'etya, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Just a word of housekeeping. Shiva will take place today, Wednesday, at Europa, the restaurant, and all are invited. We're going to continue, of course, with burial right after this at Zion. Thursday, Shiva will be from 12 to 2, and again from 7 to 9 at 1876 Winchester Road, 1876 Winchester Road. On Friday, it'll be from 12 to 2, and again on Sunday from 7 to 9. We'll continue now as we invite the pallbearers, and Lidiya, may your memory always be for a blessing.
Anyone going to the cemetery, please remember to turn on your headlights and hazards. Headlights and hazards if you're going to the cemetery.